a lot of high school football without a helmet, did you?
Okay, hold on. We live now. Let me get started. I'm sorry, we live. Let me get started. All right. We are back. We are back. We're just you can't stop something that's purposeful. So I'm very sorry for the tardiness, but we are here. Another first Wednesday. So we are here with the Ring 10 boxing show again, where we discuss starting a commission, getting a union. I'm sorry, starting a national commission for boxing and getting a union established for boxing as well. Two things that are very needed in this sport. And on tonight's panel, so far we have Rich the Cutman Schwartz, Jermaine Robinson, aka Thunder Robinson. Miss
There
Thunder
you go.
Robinson. So, and there'll be some others popping in as the show goes on. So we're gonna open up the discussion with Rich the Cutman Schwartz. He was telling us about a fight he did over the weekend. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, it was a very nice show up in Newburgh at an armory, very big armory, and in fact, I went to the.
I'm getting some feedback, so you got to go. You got to go on mute for me, Thunder, when he's talking. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I worked two corners. There were six bouts on the card, and they were really very, very competitive bouts, which I like to see. You don't want to see bouts that are one sided. You want to see a competitive bout, and it was really good. The kid from Pittsburgh for the kid from Pueblo, Colorado, a kid named Anthony Soto, and I'll tell you, it was one of the best bouts I've seen in years. I mean, they were going at it, very competitive, and all three judges had it 38-38, ending in a draw. And I had the main event. It was a heavyweight from Toledo, Ohio. Uh, Marcus Valentine for the kid from Long Island, from Huntington, Moses Johnson. I worked Moses Johnson's corner. He was 7-0 with six stoppages, and two big boys. Moses, I think, was 262, and I think Marquise Valentine came in at about 320 pounds. Two big heavyweights, and Moses Johnson stopped Marquis Valentine in the third round. He got dropped once. He got dropped the second time, and the referee stepped in and stopped it. But it was a really nice show, and I see boxing is starting to get back to New York. Uh, New York really was locked down big time as far as boxing was concerned. We didn't have too many bouts here, but it's starting to open up and come back. And same night there was a show at Madison Square Garden.
Okay, okay, Rich. We got two new folks. I'm going to introduce them, but I'm going to let Thunder speak after this. We have Matt Fiargo. He's the president of Ring 10, and we have Rick Glazier. Rick Glazier, big time matchmaker on here. So, but but Thunder, you had touched on something last week, and we didn't really get into it. You were telling us about public broadcasting TV. You want to touch on that some more for us?
Well, you know what? I'm even going to take it. I don't know if this is a step further or in between. But I think broadcasting, like public television, is the way for us to get the word out more about boxing. Because one of the things that as we trying to get into become unionized and get our insurance coverage and everything, you know, today I was in Walmart. I'm getting a skateboard, right? And one of the things I'm looking at, they don't, I mean, they sell boxing equipment, yes, but I have not seen not one toy from not one of our fighters, no uh, no Mayweather doll or boxing thing. I have not seen any of that in the store. Maybe it's because I was just in a local store, But I'm just looking at that. So I'm thinking that maybe as all of us are coming together in such an aggressive way with our heart and soul into trying to become unionized, just like all the other sports are, that maybe in between this, we need to get out there more. So maybe we need to do some form of a forum where everybody come together and we all try to figure this out because we want to do this as a group, as a team. And these are all the people that we're going to need, our boxers. Bring all of them together and let's have a forum and we really get it out there. That's
That
where I'm
that's
at.
that's
And that's a
actually
lot.
very yeah, but yeah, that's actually very powerful. We're gonna talk on the back end more about that after the show. Matt Fiargo, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do. Then after that, Rick Glazier, you could jump in here and we'll go from there. Go ahead, Matt.
It's Matt Farrago. That's one thing. The other thing is I'm the president of Ring 10, and we're the largest non-for-profit boxing organization probably in the world, definitely in the United States. We're the most productive, and we help fighters all over the world. Wolford Benitez is in another country. A lot of guys are, and we somehow they find us. We help them anywhere we can. The only problem is I appreciate us doing it, but it's only a Band-Aid on the sport because the sport doesn't take care of itself. And that's the problem. When you don't fight anymore, they point you to the door and they say, don't call me and I won't call you. And you're on your own. And there's nothing to fall back on. And a highest percentage of them don't go to college. They go right from high school or whatever they are, Golden Gloves, and they turn professional and they're deep into it. When it's over, they look back, they have no money, nothing saved, no financial services, and the door's right there. There's nothing on the other side. And unfortunately, that's where we come in and we find them. But that's not the way the sport should be designed. It should be designed for keepers and fighters and how to handle it. How to handle it. Sport's got to change. Can't keep it up the way it is. That's my piece.
All right, Matt. And that's why we're here tonight to start something. And Mr. Glazier, Rick Glazier, how you
Hi,
doing?
guys. Good. How are you?
All right. Thank you for coming
Hello,
through, man.
Richard. Thank you. Hello, Richard. How are you?
Hey, how are you,
Good,
Rick?
buddy.
Good seeing you.
Good. We all miss Harold, don't we?
Harold was a gem, and he was without a doubt the number one boxing fan in the world. In the world,
No,
Harold would
no question.
call me up.
I'll
Hey,
tell you a funny story about Harold. A friend of mine. This guy is this guy goes to club shows in New Jersey, Atlantic City, and club shows, and he goes to the garden shows. And he was this is about 6, 7 years ago. He's at a club show in New Jersey, out in the middle of nowhere, and he turns to his left and he points, he goes, "Aren't you Harold Letterman from HBO?" He goes, "Yes." He goes, "What are you doing here? This little club show in 400 seats." He says, "Well, I'm a boxing, besides working, I'm a boxing fan." The guy just, Harold talked to him for 2 hours. So he touched all people and all walks of life. He was a great guy. He was a true ambassador for the sport. No question about it.
everyone knew Harold Letterman, and Harold knew everybody else. And if he wasn't working HBO, well, he was with HBO for 32 years, and he was there to the very end when they went belly up in
Well,
2019.
wait. They stopped. It was 2018, and they stopped boxing. They didn't go. HBO didn't go belly up, but
Okay,
they
they
got rid
stopped
of
boxing,
boxing.
but
Right.
HBO was the gold standard. They were the gold standard in boxing.
Well, they ruined their own brand, and I told Harold it was happening. It had been happening for a while. They kept getting rummies to run the boxing operation. They didn't get a real boxing guy in there. And as much as I despise Lou DiBella is miscategorized as a Hall of Famer. He got in as a promoter and a non-participant. He should have been got in an observer as a TV executive. He did a sensational job at HBO. I mean, he developed what was it called? Let me think. After Dark.
Boxing After Dark.
After Dark,
Woodway
yes.
Boxing After Dark.
Yeah,
But
Boxing After Dark on HBO, and he just did a great job. I mean, he did a fantastic job. And ever since he left in 2000, HBO went in the shithouse in boxing. It kept getting worse every year. And then when it got worse, the ratings went down. So they kept cutting the budget down, thinking that boxing's not selling. No, you're putting on rummy fights. And they just didn't understand. People don't care about names when they're turning on they're on pay-per-view. They care about names, but they're turning on premium television on a Saturday night. They want great fights. They don't care if they've never heard of the fighters. They want two things. They want great fights, and they want fights with meaning and purpose. World title fights, eliminators, or this guy's fighting this guy in a 10-rounder, but if the winner of this fight's going to fight for the world title, so something with meaning and purpose, with some bite to it, some gumption. And they weren't big. Fights weren't leading to fights, and they put on dreck. I mean, they put on absolute chazarai. It was garbage.
Okay, but Rick, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
I watched Rocky Marciano knock out Joe Louis on my 10-inch RCA Victor black and white TV set with my father sitting on the couch in Brooklyn in 1951.
Okay.
All right. I saw Sugar Ray Robinson fight Jake LaMotta 6 times. I want to know, why aren't we seeing the best fight the best? Why aren't we seeing the best? Where are the mandatories?
First of all, mandatories are not always the best fights. Number one, okay, and that's a shame, but that's what the reality is.
Yeah, but why Manny Pacquiao fought Mayweather? That fight should have taken place 5 years earlier.
Well, you got to blame people like Al Heyman. Those are the people to blame. Okay, he's been the ruination of professional boxing in America. I've said it for years and years. People don't listen. Listen, the Charlos each have fought once a year for the last 3 years apiece. Once a year, they're sitting world champions. Okay, there's no reason for that. But you know what he tells the fighters? He tells the fighters, well, if you fight twice a year, you have twice as much chance to lose and lose your title. If you fight once a year, you only have one chance to lose your title. This is the bullshit he feeds people.
Yeah, but what happened to the mandatories? Why aren't the sanctioning bodies demanding that the best fight the best?
Because the best are not always the mandatories, number one. And since the COVID and the pandemic, because of travel restrictions and all kinds of international regulations to do with the COVID now, and per country, they've relaxed the mandatory. They're enforcing mandatory only where the two fighters can travel to a different country without a COVID what do they call, quarantine. That's the reason why. Okay. And I get that part. But
but you're only talking about the last 2 years. COVID-19 wasn't around 4, 5, 6, 8 years ago.
Richard,
let me step in here real quick, gentlemen, real quick, if I could. Let me step in here. Okay, two things, right? You got a question from the chat about from Puerto Rican Rum. Is there he's asking, is there any way of getting any good boxing back on network TV and and a regular
well, ESPN's as good as network
on a regular
TV.
basis.
Everybody, if you get cable TV, you get ESPN's got great fights.
Right.
Weekly. Okay.
Also Rick and Rich and everybody else on the panel. This is a real good discussion. But if we had a commission, like say if we had a national commission, how would that help us, to get those fights in order that you wanted?
It wouldn't. The reason why it's not going to is because they're going to put a political hack. They're not going to put a panel of 5 or 6 or 7. They're going to put a panel of 5 or 6 or 7 boxing guys. They're going to give us political hacks, and that doesn't work. Okay, and that won't work. That's the problem with state boxing commissions. So here's an example. Patricia Morse Jarman screwed up the fight last week with whoever what it was. She had it for the wrong side. She had it for Jamal James, and she gets rewarded or awarded the big fight this week with Canelo. I would have suspended her for 6 months if she had Jamal James ahead, what she did. That's a joke. He got the shit beat out of him. I mean, that's a blind person scoring a fight. Come on now. Okay, but she
Wow.
gets rewarded. She gets rewarded for a big assignment this week. That's wrong. Okay, that's why a national commission won't work because they're going to put political hacks in there. Okay, and it's got to stop. Okay, it's the ruination of boxing. It's ruining boxing. Al Heyman's ruining boxing. Okay, there's a bunch of reasons. He's not the only thing. He started the ball rolling with undue influence at HBO.
Something's happening to your sound.
Okay.
Yeah, and Matt, you jump in here,
I mean,
and follow through. Huh?
listening.
Kind of
Go,
muffled.
go ahead and jump in on that, Matt, on what Richard said.
Sound is very muffled, Troy.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can you hear me better now?
Nope, nope. You're
No.
coming in very muffled.
Yeah. Okay, how about now? I sound any better?
I hear it well. I hear it well.
I'm sure I hear you fine.
Okay, good, good. Because I wanted Matt to jump on that subject about the commission too. Did you hear everything that Rick said?
Yeah, I do. And
Okay, go ahead.
I have been fighting for the longest time. There should be a national commission. There should be a national commission that oversees the WBC, WBA, the IBF, and there doesn't have to be all those organizations. It doesn't have to be. Years ago, when boxing was at its best, there was one champion in every weight division: Rocky Marciano and Jake LaMotta and Rocky Graziano. They were all one champion. Now we have everybody's a champion. I mean, you got to not a good fighter at all to not have some belt. Some
I don't, Matt. I don't agree with that. There's not one fighter right now that's not a legitimate A fighter that's a world champion that I can think of. Okay, okay. That forget about
A fighter.
WBA secondary champions. They're in the process of getting rid of those right now. Okay, because of all the complaints. Okay,
Right.
but all the organizations have good champions. Every one of them: the WBO, the IBF, the BA, the BC.
They can't have all the champion. They can't be three of the same champions. So one of them has got to be the best. That's
Matt, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Okay, and a straight up question. I don't know you that well. I respect what you do for boxing, and I
right.
respect your reputation. But I will say this to you.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have four legitimate world champions, and they are legitimate now.
Yeah.
They're all good. I don't know one that's not. Now the secondary WBA titles, they're getting rid of those. Let's not deal with those in term the BS. Let's deal with the BC, the IBF, and the BA, and the BA regular, the good champion. There's quote super champ, the real champ. Okay, they're all warranted. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
If everybody defends their title on an average of twice a year,
yep.
Okay, you've got 8 world title challengers. If you have a one champion and you defend 3 times a year, you only got 3. You only have 3
One
challengers.
You only have
Then the food chain. Wait, the food chain shrinks down from 8 to 3, and not only that is if you have one champ, now it's 4. That's 3 more. That's 7 people in the top of each division, and you multiply it by 17. That's a lot of fighters. I'm not doing the math, but that's pretty close to 100 fights. Continue.
Did you hear him, Matt?
Yeah.
And
I understand.
Thunder, I know you want to jump in here at some point.
They've diluted it. It's diluted right now with too many.
It's not diluted for this reason. Boxing's bigger worldwide than it's ever been, but it's smaller in the United States. We have champions today from Japan, Thailand, Indonesia, literally all over the world. We have one in Canada now. We have one there. We have a whole bunch in England. They're from all over the world. They're the Ukraine. They're from Russia. All these different countries. Boxing wasn't like that 40 years ago, gentlemen. That's why 1 or 2 champions was fine. Now you have champions from literally all over the world. Boxing's bigger worldwide now than it was 30, 40 years ago. Remember, Cubans weren't coming over here. Remember, Russians and were only amateurs. They weren't recognized as professionals, and the Ukrainians, all those people from those Russian type countries, the former USSR. Now it's bigger than ever. Okay, Germany, the UK, South Africa, Africa. The one cruiserweight makes $1 million a fight in Africa now. The WBC cruiserweight champ. I can't even pronounce his name. Okay, and Mukabu, I think, or something like that. He's making $1 million a fight.
So
Okay, and what I'm saying is that if you are interested in the betterment of the fighters, it's better to have 4 world champions. Okay, because now you got all these more title fights. The people, more champions make more money, more challengers make more money, and it goes down the food chain. And then you have eliminators. And if there was only number one world champion, you'd only have one eliminator instead of 4 a year.
well, you
So
would have one champion, you'd have 10 contenders, and then the whole list below them, like
no,
the old days when there was Marciano, when there was Muhammad Ali. There was one champion. Everybody knew the majority of the champions. Everybody knew them. You stop somebody in the street. If we went out right now and stopped 10 people
Matt,
and told them who the heck
Matt, that is nothing.
they wouldn't know it.
Matt, that has nothing to do with it. Boxing has become a seventh sport in the United States. It used to be baseball, horse racing, and boxing. Boxing's relegated to a seventh sport. That's not the reason. Okay.
Okay.
The reason is shitty fights. Okay.
Yeah.
The best fights are on pay-per-view, and the best fights start at 11 and 12 o'clock at night. And those are all negativities to the growing the sport. You don't see NASCAR going on pay-per-view or NFL football going on
Nah,
pay-per-view or
no, you don't.
going on
I think it has a
pay-per-view.
lot to do with marketing too, as well, Rick.
Yeah,
And Thunder,
that's fine.
Thunder. You could jump in here. I see you shaking your head, so go ahead and jump in here. You're on mute. You're on mute, Thunder. You're on mute.
I'm sorry about that, but one of the things is the reason why we at number 7 and we're not up there with the other sports is because we are not on one line. We're up and down. That's why we need to unionize, need to bring things into order, because without order, we're not coming together on everything. Now we're getting more awareness because things are opening up. They're seeing things more. But now we got to see things on the same playing field,
If you
because
want,
without being on the same playing field across, we
ma'am,
have to bring it together. And like you said,
if you
I'm
want to
listening
talk
to you,
about a
Rick.
union, if you want to talk about a union, you're going to kill a fighter's career.
No,
Okay.
that's not true.
Okay.
How
Well,
so,
I'll
Rick?
give
How
you an
so, Rick?
example. I'll give you an example. Eddie Mustafa started a boxing union in the 90s with the Teamsters Union.
Yep.
They froze all the fighters out. They were all on the sidelines. And the promoters that had the fighters, they cut them loose. Okay? Literally released them. Okay? So let's try that again, a duplication of that 25 years later. Let's go
No, we're
do
not
that.
going to duplicate that. That's not what the
Well,
duplication is about. We
okay.
didn't improve because of education. We are educated now. We done dug deep. We done been there. We know what errors that's been made. That's why we got Matt on here. Matt, we got everybody on here that has been through that daggone grind and seen the results of not having a union. So
If you're talking about,
we
if you're
have to
talking
change the picture of boxing.
about,
Otherwise, it's just doomed just to be knocked off, as a street fight after a while, if we don't do something.
okay, if you're talking about a pension and you're talking about health care and all that stuff, and it's funded by the quote union, I would call it a guild or association, not a union, because it'll really scare people off if you call it union. But if you're going to get involved with the purses with the fight and the fighters fighting and stuff like that, ain't going to work. Eddie tried that, and Eddie's a very, very well liked, respected guy, and he went away with his tail between his legs. And I love Eddie. He's a great guy. He tried his best. He was involved with the Teamsters Union with it, and they shunned the fighters like dogs. There you go.
Okay, Rick. When you said it froze the fighters out, go ahead and explain that, because I don't understand
They
that.
didn't use the fighters. They literally, some of the promoters cut the fight. I know Cedric Christian cut a bunch of fighters loose back in the day. In those days, there was a bunch of fighters that were cut loose,
Rick,
or they just
Rick,
put them on the bench.
Rick, what year was that? Do you remember roughly? 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years.
No, 90s, 95 to 98.
That's 30 years ago. Things have changed. I can
Thank
tell you.
you.
Okay, and the same guys are in power today that were in
No,
power then.
not in
I
power.
don't agree, Matt.
They're not.
I
It'll be done.
think,
Rick,
Matt,
you have my,
I think,
but it'll be done. It'll be
okay. I think if you're going to look,
together
if you,
about it, but it'll be done.
okay, if you're going to look to have health insurance for fighters and a pension for fighters, that can work. But if you're going to get involved with the competition end of it and how much the fighters actually make in the fights,
No,
you're going to get the fighters frozen out.
that's
No,
not what
we're
it's
not.
about.
No, that's not what it's about at all. I'm
Okay, well, that's what
somewhere.
that was about.
No,
Okay.
it's not about how much they will get paid. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not, there's still up to the promoters and everybody else to figure out what the fighter's going to get
Okay.
paid. That's not where we at. You
That's a
know,
good start.
one
Okay.
of the things when we was on last week, when I think it was Paul that was on, and he was talking about how it would be something, and I didn't look at it this way. I was comparing us to football players, but he was comparing it to something like the Screen Actor Guilds, because everybody that plays in a movie is not getting top pay. You know, there's still people that's the extras. You know, they don't get
They get
no
$175 a day. You're right. Okay.
you know, they don't get a lot, but they're still entitled to that health insurance. They still entitled to some form of a pension from that, and residuals from when the show comes on TV. You know, I'm not saying it's millions of dollars, but they still get something. It's still on that line right there. So the way of thinking in 1998, 1999, it was different back then. You know, and maybe those people are still in play, but that's why we have so many more boxers, and we have a different perspective on how to approach becoming unionized, becoming where everybody that once they retire, I don't care if they only had 3 fights, you know, if they put in, they get something. You know, just like in just like as they were saying in the Scream Actor Guild, they get something from the TV, from being on TV. We got to change this perception of boxing. And like you said, boxing is opening up again. Everybody loves a good fight. That's something everybody loves. But then we got to think about the aftermath. The guys that at the end of their career, what are we giving to them? Because that's what it's all about. Like I said, in my gym, I had nothing but old timers coming into my gym to help me. And they coming in there, you know, and all of them, I mean, they had Parkinson, they had the shakes, they had everything. They need help. You know, and there was no help out there, but they still had that urine.
And
But they're not receiving anything.
where's your gym?
My gym is it was in Baltimore, Uppercut Boxing Gym of Maryland.
Okay.
Right. But the thing is, I had a lot of old timers coming in there to assist me, to help me, you know, to see what it is that they can contribute. Because for me, this is for me coming from, you know, loving boxing all my life, you know, that I saw the value of the old time boxer, the OGs, the old boxer. They had so much to offer and so much encouragement, everything, where a lot of gyms, you know, they discard them. A lot of when they're because they can't, some of them have such ailments and everything, you know, but I see past all that. I see the wisdom that they still have here. They may not have this here, but they got that there. So we have to give them a chance. The new ones coming up. I mean, you know, for a lot of the old fighters right now, we may not can save them all, get them the benefits and everything that they need. But what we can do is for our future boxers. That's what we got to look out for to bring up the status of boxing. And the only way to do that is to do like every other sport has done. We got to up our game. If we're not up in this daggone game, we already falling behind. We have to.
Every major sport are unionized. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, golf, tennis. They have union. They have
National
union
anti-boxing.
representation. Why are boxers any different? Why are they excluded? It is
Yes,
only
tell
fair,
me.
it is only right, and it's only just, and it's the right thing to do to
Yes,
take care of people like Gerald McClellan, who's totally blind and 80% deaf, Wilfred Benitez, who became a world champion at the age of 17. Where are the promoters? Where are these multimillionaires who have made millions and millions of dollars off the blood, sweat, and tears of the fighters who are present day gladiators and who risk their lives when they step into the ring? Where are these people?
That's a very good question. A very good question, Rick. We'll probably never get an answer to that, but
I work a
uh,
corner. I work a corner of a fight, and I hear the Neanderthals in the stands who paid $45 to get a ticket to get to
huh?
see a fight at ringside, and they're crying for blood. They want to see a fighter get knocked out. They want to see his brain scrambled. But not
Ab-
one of them will reach in their pocket for a $10 bill and send it to Gerald McClellan.
that's true. That's true.
Something's
Now,
got to be done. And it's
that's true.
doable. If we put a man on the moon 50 years ago and brought him back to Earth, which is like threading a needle at 300 yards, we can get these fighters organized into a union where they have due process, where they have a welfare, a pension fund, and they have medical coverage. Okay, half of these guys can't remember what they ate for breakfast. They can't tie their own shoelaces when they hang up their gloves, and there's nobody there to help them.
And that's the passion.
Something's got to be done, and it's time for these fighters to be organized into a union. I've been a union member for 57 years. Okay, and we stood shoulder to shoulder. We went on strike. I've been a member of United Federation of Teachers for 57 years, and I still pay into the union. Okay, and we walked the picket line, and we went on strike, and we went on shoulder to shoulder. Okay, the robber barons from the early 1900s, they didn't give up their power, they didn't give up their control out of the goodness of their heart. Guys went on strike. Guys had their heads busted. And if it wasn't for the unions, a lot of people would not be in the middle class today. Something's got to be done to get these fighters justice.
Now, Rick, you spoke on a pension, and it sounds like you have some knowledge on how to get a union started. You care to share that, Rick?
Talking about me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I don't have any knowledge at all. I just said that if you're going to do something with quote a union, a guild, or an association, I would concentrate on pension and medical insurance and the pension. I wouldn't concentrate on the competition part. I think that could very well doom the organization like it did for the Teamsters Union back in the 90s. That's all I'm
No,
saying.
because we're not focusing on the competition part at all. What we're focusing on, is how we could help the boxers. That's where the start come. That's where it's going to start right there. How we could help these boxers, because you have some fighters, as you know, their first fight, Rick, could be their last fight, right?
Yeah.
You could get hit and go into a coma just like that, and it's over. I know Matt has dealt with some. He said he shared some powerful stories that he's seen. So with our focus,
That's,
huh?
that's a minimum chance. That does not happen.
Right. But I'm saying, Matt, our focus really is to safeguard the fighters. So this is when you would step in and.
Wait, you're confusing things, because that's the the state commission job is the safety of the fighter. What Ring 10 does and what we want to do is what do they do after. So now it's very hard. It's gonna have years, because the guy that has 3 fights says, "Okay, I'm done. I retire. Where's my money? I'm retired." You can't do that, right? Now, how many fights does it take? Does it take 15? Does it take 30? Does it take 50? How many fights does it take before he has some kind of kickback to him? Part of the union.
I'll answer that question. I
Okay.
think I think anybody that's a 10 round fighter becomes a 10 round fighter
Yep.
where it should be qualified for a pension, and of course a 12 round fighter, but at least 10 rounds. Then you're a real professional fighter. Fours and sixes and eights, if you don't get past there, I don't think you'd warrant a pension.
Okay. That's good. That is good. That is good. But you know, then what's to stop a guy? What's to stop a guy going from a 6 rounder? He jumps to a 10 rounder.
Can't. The commission doesn't allow it. Commission doesn't allow it.
Who doesn't allow it?
The commission.
No.
And,
Wait a minute. Wait. I had 1 8 rounder, and then I went to 10 rounders for the rest of my life.
well, that's all. Then the commission allowed it. Then if you had an 8 rounder, you just said you just gave me an example from 6 to 10. You just told me you had 1 8 rounder. So you had an 8 rounder. You passed the test, and they allowed you to fight 10 rounders after that.
So okay, so it's one. So it's 1 8 round.
Yeah, I got a guy right now that I'm working with. Kid Austin. His name is Floyd Schofield Jr. He just had his first 8 rounder, his eighth fight. He's gonna have one more 8 rounder in February, and then he's going right to 10 rounders because he's that good.
I'm not knocking it, but you see that a guy that's a 4 rounder, 6 rounder, he's not qualified. You got to have.
No, he shouldn't be qualified because that's not. Listen, professional boxing. Just because you lace gloves on, you fought for money. You may not be a real professional boxer. A guy who's a 10 round fighter is a real professional boxer.
Rick, what does it take to get a license to show that you have a couple amateur fights and you get a license? You're a professional.
But you're talking about fighting for money. We're talking about a pension fund, which is totally two different things.
Well,
okay.
So not an amateur, turns professional. Has 4 fights. He wins 1. He loses 4. I'm done. I got hurt. My head hurts. I'm done. Where's my pension?
You
don't get one. You haven't been there long enough.
You don't get one. He should be a 10. Should be at least a 10 round fighter.
So he has to make it to a 10 round. The guy has to make it to a 10 rounder. So
a legitimate 10 rounder, correct?
Guy has 15 fights. All up, 4 rounders, 6 rounders, 8 rounders, and he gets permanently hurt. He's done. He can't make a 10 rounder. He gets nothing. He's out.
Well, that would be up to the people in charge of who's ever in charge. But as far you're talking about two different things. You're talking one should he have health insurance? You should get health insurance automatically if you're a professional boxer. Now you're talking about a pension. A pension is totally two different things. If you're looking to help a person that's hurt and he's got health insurance, that's great. If you want to help him additionally, that's up to the people in charge. But as far as who qualifies for a pension, it should be real professional fighters, people that have been in 10 and 12 fights. Like right now.
Rick, hold on. So what you just said, real professional fighter, 10 or 12 fights. My record.
No, 10 and 12 rounders. I said
10 and 12. Okay, so but really there's no qualifications that'll get you into 10 rounders. You don't have to have 30 professional fights to get a 10 rounder.
No, because everybody's ability brings them to a certain spot faster than others. Like this kid here that I've got 8-0 in his 10th fight, he's going to be in a 10 rounder because he's good. But if he wasn't good, I wouldn't be doing it.
I'm not knocking it. I agree. I put a 10-rounder main event early in my career. I had 15 fights, and that's okay. That's okay. What I'm saying is a guy could work his way up and lose the majority of fights, but they threw him into a 10-round. He gets knocked out in the 3rd round. He has another 10-rounder. He gets knocked out in the 6th round. I'm done. I'm retired. I fought a 10-rounder twice. I want my pension.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I want to step in here now, Mac. We had a similar discussion, right?
Yeah.
And I made a suggestion that after a year, that's when that would apply. But the overall thing is what we're trying to do is just trying to cover these fighters in case anything really major happens. That's the overall purpose of it.
Boy, there's profit insurance with every fight. Every promoter has to have profit.
I understand that, Matt, but what I'm thinking about, is the long-term guy. There was a young man, I can't remember his name, a few years ago. He went into a coma, and he was in the hospital for I don't know how many
Yeah,
months until he finally.
the kid in California, the 122 pounder. I know the guy you're talking about.
Yeah,
Wait,
until did he pass away? I'm not sure because I don't
No,
want to
no, no,
misspeak or
no,
anything.
no, no, no.
Okay,
He's alive.
are you talking about
okay, this is somebody different. This is somebody different.
Troy?
What I'm talking about. Look, hold on a second, man. Just let me speak real quick.
Yep.
What I'm talking about with this union and everything else we want to establish is to cover the fighters like Gerald and everybody else, but also cover the fighters who just have to who get stopped and all that. Is simply about covering the fighters after a fight because as we know, you have the short term effect, you have the long term effect, and some might need more than others. So we don't want to just focus on all this minutia. We want to focus on something that can help them overall. Is my point. But go ahead, Matt.
Uh, I kind of lost my thing.
Well, can I say something in between? One of the things that will solve all of that is having guidelines. Guidelines is what would give us, whether it was a 10 rounder or 12 rounder, whether how bad the disability is, how far in the game he has been in there. That's why we would have to set up true and guidelines that would take us to all of those different levels so that everybody would know, everyone would know where that person is with on that scale of receiving a pension is by the guidelines. Once we have clear guidelines established, then that's it. That's our base right there. Setting up our guidelines for who is entitled to what and how much.
Yeah,
When Paul Williams was on last time, Paul was talking about setting up setting it up boxing as a single corporate structure, a single corporate structure, and he says that the precedent has been set up. Yeah, we know that boxers are individual contractors, but promoters are the employers and the fighters are the employees. And precedence has been set up already. And he has the NFL has joined in as he has spoken to people with the NFL, the Screen Actors Guild, and some other people in high places in boxing. And he believes that if everyone got together and saw the light of day, everybody would benefit. The promoters, the fighters, the fans would get to see undisputed championship fights. Everybody would benefit by having the fighters in a union. They would all benefit. Okay, and to me, it's only fair and it's just and it's the right thing to do. I mean, I know so many friends of mine are former world champions. I won't mention their names, but most of them are down and out financially. Many of them need financial help and or medical assistance, and there's nobody out there for them. Nobody. Nobody is helping the
Nobody,
Joe McClellans.
Rich,
And,
nobody at all.
well, Ring 10. I mean, we are. And look, I've been a Ring 10 member for the last 11 years. I was there on the ground floor. I joined Ring 10, and I can tell the world that in the 11 years we've been around, we've helped dozens and dozens of fighters, and 99.9% of the money that we raise at our fundraisers, our annual gala, goes towards helping the fighters. Nobody is salaried, But why should somebody like a Gerald McClellan, have to pass around a tin can? Why should by the way, Wilfred Benitez, I understand he's no longer in Puerto Rico. I think he was flown and is living in the Chicago area because he's getting
Yeah,
better help now.
yeah, he is.
But something has to be done to help these modern day gladiators that, many of them, they're like greyhound dogs. After they're finished racing, they're tossed to the sidelines.
Yeah.
And that's because there is no game plan. There's no plan. You make your money. You fight. We pay your money. Don't call me. I won't call you unless I need you again. That's the rule of boxing. There is no residual income. There's nothing. So it's It's got to change. It has to change, and obviously, union or the rules would make that difference. But there's going to have to be tiers. There's all kinds of different mechanisms that are going to come into play because how many fights a guy has, he can't fight anymore because he doesn't want to fight anymore, or he hit the lowest tier. There's a lot of rules that have to come into play, and I would be more than happy to work that out when we finally start to form the union. But it has to be done. It would have to be
Right.
done.
I agree with each and every one of you, and it looks like your mind is spinning over there, Rick. So go ahead.
Not really. I'm just listening. Really, I'm
Mhm.
Rick,
taking
I,
it
I
in.
want to talk to you on a personal basis one day. I have your number and I want to call you. I didn't realize you were that much into it, but I would definitely really
What
want
do
to
you mean
talk.
that much into it?
Well, you're creative, and I think I like the way you think, and I think we're kind of on the same page.
My
And
phone's
maybe
open to everybody throughout the world. I'm 24/7, 365 days a year. That's why I advertise myself. My website, glazerboxing.com,
okay,
specifies that everywhere. It's about business.
okay.
I'm a businessman and I'm a pretty good one.
I'm gonna call you at 5 o'clock in the morning just to test you
You
out.
can
Okay.
call me at 5 o'clock in the morning.
You
Okay,
say it
and
was going to happen, right?
I mean that
I can
sincerely.
honestly,
Just to let
I
you
can
know,
honestly
the
say,
busiest
mhm.
part of my day is between 4 o'clock in the morning and 12 o'clock. Okay, because I do so much business. 70% of my business is overseas. Just to let you
That's
know.
what I thought.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well,
So,
listen.
and Troy knows how big I am in the UK with everybody. I'm like a public figure in the UK. So people call me and hit me up on all kinds of social
Okay.
media for questions and stuff.
Well, Rick,
Uh,
Rick, we know each other. Rick, we know each other. You have my emails. I think you get emails from Ring 10. Are you not?
no, I don't actually.
All
No, I
right.
don't.
So,
I actually don't. But if you go to my website, all my cell numbers on there, and my email address is on there. And I've been in business full time for 30 years in boxing. That's all I do, and that's I what I basically do is I supply. For those that don't really know what I do, I supply. I'm a provider of supplemental services to promoters, TV networks, managers, fighters, media agencies, attorneys. I'm expert witness in lawsuits for attorneys. Anything to do with professional boxing, and that's what I do. Been doing it forever.
all
Now,
right.
Ms. Robinson, did you know Mac Lewis?
Of course.
Mac was a friend. Mac was a really
Wow.
Mac was a really good friend of mine. He used to call me up, and uh, I didn't know his partner Joe Gamby when he was around, but after that, and he used to call me up all the time to get the skinny on fighters that his guys were fighting, like a Don King shows and whatever. And I always give him the lowdown and stuff like that. And we were very good friends. And I mean, everybody passes away. It's part of life. It's the
Yeah.
evolution of life. But when he passed away, it was really a sad time for me because he was such a gentleman. I mean,
Yes, he was.
he was boxing. He was Mr. Boxing Baltimore. I
Yes,
mean,
he was.
you know,
Yes.
he, he's right. I mean,
It, it,
he was the guy.
yes. If anybody in Baltimore did not go through Mac Lewis Gym, then that means you wasn't into boxing.
Right,
That's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
If you didn't come
right,
through his gym, then you weren't even looked at then. You
right.
know, and
I,
even his first Vincent Pettyway, you know,
yeah,
who raised up the street
George
just a couple of doors
Chaplin,
up from there.
George Chaplin, Reggie Gross. I can go through all.
Yes.
Yep, a kid named Ford, a featherweight. I remember all
Well,
guys.
do you and the Keys brothers? Do you know Gregory Keys and all of them?
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're my
I'll,
boxers.
I'll tell you guys a very funny Mac Lewis story. And Al Braverman. Who knew Al Braverman here? Richard, you knew Al Braverman, right?
Nope, nope,
I
I
know
didn't.
him. I know him.
Oh, yeah, he died in July of '97. He was New York Mr. Boxing. He
Yeah, he
worked for
was.
Don King for years. He had Chuck. He was the manager of Chuck Wepner. He's the one that Chuck Wepner at Sonny Liston said, "Is Chuck Wepner the bravest guy you've ever seen?" He goes, "Nope." He goes, "It's his manager." So in the meantime, is There was a legendary great story about Mac Lewis and Braverman. Braverman calls up Mac Lewis at 12 o'clock one night. He says, "Get on the first train in the morning, Don." Meaning Don King wants to sit down and talk to you. It was about making George Chaplin versus Greg Page for ABC on national TV. So Mac takes the train down. They're waiting around for Don. Don's in the office with somebody else. Al Braverman sticks his head in there and says, "Take Mac to lunch. Go to Mac to lunch and come back, and I'll be ready for you." Braverman, with his unbelievable wit, he turns around and says, "Come on, Mac, we're going to lunch." Mac says, "Al, you buying?" And Al Braverman said with a straight face, he says, "Not this year."
Well,
Wow. Let me tell you.
nobody has better stories than Don Elbaum.
Oh, he's the greatest.
Wow.
Isn't he the
Let me tell
greatest?
you, almost bringing me to tears. And this show is not about he seeing me cry. Just thinking about Mac Lewis and all the men, strong, positive things that came out of his gym, and it's still coming out of his gym.
Mac
Under
Lewis,
look, it still got some good players in there.
Mac Lewis
You
was
know,
working a corner of a fight one time in Pikesville, Maryland. Maybe it was like 1997. I was there. It was on Fox. I believe it was Fox TV or something like that at the time. I was on national TV. It was a preliminary bout, like a 6 or 8 rounder. Mac Lewis looks the guy right in his eyes. He says, "If you don't start fighting, I'm going to stop this fight." And the fighter says, "Okay."
look, let me tell you, this man, everybody had respect for him. And
Oh yeah.
he wasn't a big guy.
No, no,
Not at all, but the
no.
respect, this man, let me just say, when we looked at him, we saw him as 6 feet tall.
Right.
He had big
Matt,
stature. That's
Matt,
what he
Yeah,
was. Yeah.
Matt, he's like Braver was, and he was like Jimmy Glenn, that type of guy. Just well thought of, well respected guy.
Yeah, in the
And I
business.
think Jimmy Glenn's
Yeah.
probably a better comparison than Al Braver. Because Al Braver, a lot of people dislike, but he was a real boxing guy. But everybody loved Jimmy Glenn, so I think he's more like on the Jimmy Glenn category. To
I
give you an
trained.
idea.
Yeah.
I trained in his
Also,
gym.
yeah.
And
Also, Rick.
Jimmy Glenn's?
I trained in Times Square gym.
Oh yeah,
Jimmy
there you
Glenn.
go.
Well,
Also, Rick. I was gonna let
Jimmy
you.
had his Times Square gym. Of course, he also had Jimmy's place over there on West 47th Street. I hang out with Johnny Boss. Used to hang out after cards at the Garden.
His
And
bar. Yeah.
Jimmy was a trainer and also a great cut man. We honored Jimmy. We honored Jimmy in 2000. Ring 10 honored Jimmy in 2000 and I believe it was 2018 when we also honored John Scully with an award. Yeah, that was a great event we had.
Yeah. Also, I was gonna let you know that Thunder Thunder's mentor and mine also comes from the Mac Lewis gym. There's Marvin McDowell, right, Thunder?
Oh
that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I don't know
So yeah.
about real quick. I'll tell you a Jimmy Glenn story that everybody will really like. Michael Dokes is training to fight Riddick Bowe on HBO right after Bowe won the title. So this is like '93, and they're in Jimmy Glenn's gym. They're training away. All of a sudden, this guy comes up in a suit, and he's got a big platter of food, and it's from an Italian restaurant. It's linguine and clam sauce. It's calamari on the side, okay, over sauce, and there's a whole bunch of stuff there. And Jimmy says, the guy takes off this linen and he puts it down. He says, "I didn't order no food." Michael Doak says, "No, but I did." And he literally got out of the gym and started eating right, right in front of Jimmy Glenn. So Jimmy Glenn turns to him and says, "I can't believe you're doing this. I'm training you hard and you're eating stuff you're not supposed to eat." He says, "Jimmy, give me a few minutes. Let me eat in peace."
Rick, did you know Marty Cohen?
Of course I knew Marty Cohen.
Did Marty manage Dokes?
Yes, he did. Absolutely, 100%. Yes, he
And
did.
his son Sam Cohen was, I think he was president or vice president of the Florida Boxing
Hall of Fame. Yeah, I
Hall
don't
of
think he's
Fame.
with him anymore. Sam lives in Boynton Beach, Florida, and he's still alive and well today. I mean, Marty left us a while ago now, and Marty was alive. He'd be probably 115, 120 years old by now. I mean, I think he was like 97 when he passed away like 23 years ago. So he would be
Wow.
like, he'd probably be like, quite old today, but he was quite a guy. I'll tell you guys a quick Marty Cohn story. So,
And then I'm gonna jump in here and get
okay,
everybody's closing
so you
thoughts. Okay.
guys know, the word Maricón in
Yes.
Spanish means gay.
Yeah.
So
Benny Kid Perret and Emil Griffith.
well, wait, but we're at a weigh-in once, and there two fighters are fighting. One calls the Spanish weigh-in. It's in Florida, Miami, and Marty had a guy on the show when he was managing fighters. The guy says, Marty Cohn. He goes, he raises his head, he goes, right here. And everybody started laughing because he thought they said Marty Cohn. They said Marty Cohn. So there you go. And he raised his hand and everybody broke out laughing. He couldn't figure out what was so funny. I'm
All
going to
right.
break the news to him. Keep going,
All
guys.
right. I want to thank everyone for coming. We're coming up on the last 5 minutes of the show, so I'm gonna get everybody's closing thoughts, and I'd like you to tell the audience where you could be reached on social media or anywhere else, and just thank you for your knowledge and your passion. Understand this, that we're here talking about this today, but in the up and coming future, we're actually putting all this talk on paper, and we're actually going to do something. So yes, Rick, I'm going to call you and pick your brain now that I know that you have some thoughts I want to dive into. Just like I call everybody on this panel and I pick their brains, right? So you could expect that call, and just
Most,
again,
most,
I want to.
people, most people pay me $500 an hour to pick my brain. I'll let you do it for free.
Ah,
Yeah, man, I can cook and I'm Jamaican, so we'll work something
I
out. We'll work
know. I
something
love
out.
Jamaican food. So I
Good.
can be reached. I can be reached on Twitter. At my website is glazerboxing.com. GLASER. I can be reached on Twitter. There's several fake Rick Glazer accounts. It's at real Rick Glazer one. And don't forget the one because there's a real Rick Glazer there too. That's not the real Rick Glazer. And I've got 3,200 some followers. So the other ones don't have quite that many followers. So there you go. And that's it. And I'm on Facebook under my name, Rick Laser, and here to do business. If anybody's in the boxing business, I'm always rip roaring to do business.
All right. And then Rich, I want you to come in, and then Matt, and then and Thunder, and I'll take us home.
yeah, well, I could
Go
be
ahead, Rich.
reached on, yeah, I'm on Facebook under Rich Schwartz. Uh, and also you could probably reach me through Ring 10, ring10ny.org. We have a website, and I'd like to say that this coming May 22nd, it's a Sunday afternoon, we're going to have our ninth uh, fundraiser gala at a
10,
fabulous
10,
place
10,
in Queens.
10, 10th annual. It's going to be
What
our
did I
10th
say?
annual.
10th
What,
anniversary.
9.
what restaurant? What restaurant?
It's going to be held at the Terrace on the Park
Terrace on the Park.
in Flushing Meadows, New York, in Queens. We've had it the past 9 years. We had it at the Marina Del Rey in the Bronx, and it's going to be a fabulous event. It was scheduled originally for November, this past November, but we did had to cancel because of the COVID-19 epidemic. But it's going to be a great event. We have a lot of former world champions that will be in attendance, and we have some quite a number of people who will be getting awards that we give out every year. So try to make it May 22nd, a Sunday afternoon at the Terrace on the Park, and we'll be publicizing it. We'll be getting the word out.
My two favorite restaurants are in Queens, Don Pepe and the Parkside. So there you go.
Yeah, know them both.
All right, Matt, you want to jump in here and give your closing thoughts and tell people how they can reach you?
Well, obviously, if you search Ring 10, just search Ring 10, you'll see the website comes in. If you send it, it'll have an email address. If you send it, I read it, I'll respond. I appreciate the foundation, Troy, that you're giving us. so that we're trying to help the sport. We are going to fix the sport. Ring 10 is going to fix the sport. I'm going to fix it once and for all. I'm not going to accept that it can't be done because anything can be done. Went to the moon. We went anywhere. It could be done. So I appreciate you giving us the platform to do it, and I look forward to many more. And Rick, I'm going to call you very soon. Like after we hang up, I want to call you.
Give me 10 minutes because I got to return three calls real quick.
Oh,
People called me while I was on here, so call me at 9:30. Give me a half hour, okay?
I will.
All right.
Problem
Thank
is, I
you.
don't have your number, so I got to look it up somehow.
I got
No,
that.
go on my
I
website.
got that.
Go on my website.
Website. I get you. Okay. Okay.
GlazerBoxing.com, and you
I
can read
got
all
you.
about me and everything. Okay, very good.
I'll take care of that for you, Matt. Get your number now.
Okay, Troy. Thank you. Yep.
Okay.
Well,
Thunder.
in my closing remarks, I would like to say that is always very, I'm so grateful to be looking at and listening to all of these powerful, strong men. I love this. But I also want to say that no man is an island. It takes everybody. And we got to make this step. We got to do something different in order to bring about change in this boxing world. So I mean, we're making strides, but we're going to have to step up our game a little bit more, with the public television, with having a forum. Let's try to make things happen, put it down on paper so that everybody can see where we're making our steps to. Whenever anyone is trying to unionize, we know it's always a struggle and it's always going to be a fight. But I think that we are all strong enough and we all are up to the fight. And by the way, I can be reached at Uppercut Boxing Gym or on Facebook, Germanium Robinson. But guys, thank y'all. Thank y'all for letting me be in y'all presence. I love strong men. Thank you.
That's what my wife said. That's why she married me.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody, every single body. Everybody came and spoke with a lot of passion, purpose, and knowledge. And right now, like I said, we're putting everything together. A lot of things are getting written on paper. A lot of things I'm not at liberty to speak about. But this, I feel, is something that needs to get done because boxing needs something. Because
Yeah.
right now, it's just a sport, and these a lot of fighters are falling, and no one is helping them, and all of that. So we definitely need this, and I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out and giving us your time, energy, and your passion. Thank you
Thanks
again,
for having
and
us, Troy.
yeah,
Thanks for
well,
having us.
thank everyone in the chat as well. We definitely appreciate the loyalty and the love, and we'll continue to grow, and we're going to make history before it's all said and done because we're not just up here to talk. We're up here to actually build something that'll save lives and change lives.
Yes,
Thank
changing
you.
lives.
Amen,
Thank you, everybody.
amen and hallelujah. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
All right,
Have a good
everybody.
night. Good
All
night.
right, peace.
Still, yep, we're still. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Rich, for coming out, man. Appreciate you.